Right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hilary Marshall, Vice President of Stakeholder Relations and Communications at the Greater Toronto Airports Authority. I'll begin the annual public meeting by acknowledging that we are meeting on the Aboriginal land that has been inhabited by Indigenous people from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land. And with that, I'm pleased to open the meeting. We'll be conducting today's meeting in English, but we're also happy to answer questions in French. Our agenda today includes remarks from the chair of our board, David Wilson, our president and chief executive officer, Howard Eng, and Ian Clark, our CFO, after which we will open the floor to questions from our guests. Off the top, I'd like to introduce Jim Fott from Laura Consulting. Jim is going to, many of you will know Jim from our CNAC meetings and other public meetings. Jim's going to moderate our Q&A session later on after the presentations. And he has over a decade of experience as a moderator of community events, and he's going to ensure everybody has a chance to ask their questions and keep us on time. Now, I don't see any, but if there are any members of the media present, we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the event, and we'll make sure that we're able to spend time with you and address those questions. I'd also like to take the opportunity to mention that we're live streaming this webcast, and so you can watch from the comfort of your own home, and you'll also be able to follow on Twitter. And as part of the GTA's commitment to safety and by way of housekeeping, the exits are located behind you. It's a very narrow room, and the washrooms are located in the foyer. I'd also ask everyone to put their cell phone on vibrate, and we'll get underway. And with that, I'd like to introduce David Wilson, the chair of our board.
Thank you very much, Hilary, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. It's always great to have an opportunity to share the board's perspective on the past year and talk about what lies ahead for Toronto Pearson. Our airport is in business to meet the changing needs of the communities we serve, right next door and across the entire country. The role of the GTAA's Board of Directors is to identify what those needs are, determine how they should be addressed, and map out a strategy in collaboration with the senior management team. That's our job. We try to provide insight and guidance to management in the pursuit of business goals, while collectively representing the interests of the GTA and all of its stakeholders. As with all enterprises, and especially one as complex as Canada's largest airport, reconciling the views and goals of diverse stakeholders can be a delicate balancing act. The common denominator is the steady growth in demand for air travel. That's the reality. In 2017, more than 47 million passengers traveled through our airport, an increase of 6.2% over the previous year. We continue to meet this demand by managing our facilities and resources as efficiently as possible while maintaining the highest standards of safety and security. We invest the profit generated by Toronto Pearson into enhancing the airport experience of the passengers and providing better support to our air carriers and other partners. At the same time, we understand that as a leading global hub, we don't just connect people all to the world, we also have a responsibility to create better connections across our region on the ground. The GTA has led the effort to create a more integrated ground transportation network across the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area and throughout Southern Ontario. Howard Eng, our CEO, has been a tireless advocate for the development of a regional transit strategy, a strategy in which Toronto Pearson will play a central role. And Howard will be providing more details on the progress on that initiative later on today. Another key dimension of the connectivity our airport provides is its impact on the regional economy. Toronto Pearson generates about $42 billion in economic annual activity, more than 6% of the entire GDP of Ontario. It's at the heart of a commercial and industrial area, what we've tagged the Airport Employment Zone, AEZ, where more than 300,000 people come to work each day, in Canada's second largest employment cluster after downtown Toronto. And as more and more companies choose to locate near our globally connected airport, the job opportunities will only continue to grow. About 49,000 people are directly employed at Pearson every single day in every type of enterprise, public and private, large and small. They perform a wide range of jobs from check-in agents, baggage handlers, security screeners, and restaurant staff. And they're all proud to be part of a vitally important business, flying people to and from every corner of the world. Throughout 2017, we saw tremendous progress in our airport-wide campaign, I Am Toronto Pearson, which brings employees across the airport together around a single goal: delivering the best possible service to the passengers. In the past years, we had further confirmation that this collective effort is paying off. We received the highest score yet on the Airport Service Quality Index, ASQ, which is based on a worldwide passenger satisfaction survey conducted by Airport Council International. Toronto Pearson is now ranked #1 for quality among airports in North America serving more than 40 million passengers per year. From shopping and dining amenities to consistent, reliable flow of passengers, baggage, and aircraft, 49,000 people are working hard every day to make our airport one of the world's best, and tens of millions of travelers appreciate the difference. There's lots to be proud of for the people who work at Toronto Pearson and for everyone who sees our airport as the doorway to the region and the country, welcoming tourists, business people, new immigrants, travelers returning home from abroad. But we also recognize that some aspects of our operations can have an impact on our neighbors. This is a challenge faced by all airports, and especially by our peers in the top tier of global hubs. We have a responsibility to consult regularly with residents of nearby communities, listening to their points of view and sharing information clearly and transparently. And we have to do more than just talk. We're committed to working with our neighbors to mitigate, wherever possible, the impacts of a facility that is essential for the region's and Canada's economic growth and well-being. The impact that's top of mind for some residents is aircraft noise, no surprise. In 2017, the Community Environment and Noise Advisory Committee, CNAC, once again held 5 public meetings. These are open forums in which community members can ask questions, raise concerns, and receive updates on Toronto Pearson's ongoing noise management program. In November last year, after lengthy consultations with area residents and aviation experts, we published a comprehensive noise management action plan. This plan sets out 10 clear commitments by us, along with concrete actions that we're taking to fulfill them, on everything from reviewing nighttime flight op procedures, which are already strictly controlled, to potentially helping fund some noise insulation for some residents' homes. In addition to the commitments detailed in our action plan, which we will be reporting on annually, the GTA will continue seeking ways to minimize and mitigate noise-related impacts on our neighbors. And this includes encouraging carriers to adopt improved aircraft technology, conferring with NAVCAN on its management of flight patterns and procedures, and ensuring that we have to work on our runways to keep them safe. When we have to work on our runways to keep them safe, we let everyone know what we're doing and why through clear, timely communications. Noise is a priority issue for us, as it is for the people it affects. Another long-standing priority is reducing our carbon footprint. In 2017, Toronto Pearson was recertified at Level 3 in the Airport Carbon Accreditation Program run by Airports Council International. We're now working toward Level 4, or carbon neutrality, which only one North American airport has yet achieved. Meanwhile, greenhouse gas emissions at Toronto Pearson continued to decline, measured both by total volume and output per in-plane passenger. Since 2006, we've reduced carbon emission levels by 54%, well ahead of our targeted 20% reduction by 2020. The last priority I'll touch upon today, and again it's a long-standing one, is investment in our neighboring communities. In 2017, we maintained our commitment to invest 1% of the GTAA's annual net revenue in support of community-based organizations around Toronto Pearson and across the region. Through the Propeller Project, our community investment program, we provided $800,000 last year in funding to a range of proven initiatives. We focus in particular on support for unemployed and underemployed youth, as well as for immigrants adapting their skills and experience to the Canadian workplace. These community investments are one more way we work to maintain our crucial balance I referred to earlier between our role in providing global connectivity to our passengers and our responsibility to build deeper connections within our communities. As we weigh the sometimes competing priorities of the GTA stakeholders, we benefit from having a board of directors that, by design, has a diverse range of appointees. Our members come from all levels of government as well as key business sectors, but collectively, the board represents the interests of all stakeholders. I'd like to welcome 3 new members who joined the board in the past year, and I'll introduce them briefly to you. Kathleen Keller-Hobson sits on the boards of several companies. There's Kathleen. In 35 years of legal practice, she specialized in corporate finance, governance, and mergers and acquisitions, both private and public companies. The next person I'd like to introduce doesn't need an introduction, Hazel McCallion. In her 36 years as mayor of Mississauga, Hazel naturally got to know Toronto Pearson very well. She is also chancellor of Sheridan College at the moment and a special advisor to the University of Toronto. Welcome to the board, Hazel. The third new board member who joined us in the past year is Johan Van Toff, who is the CEO of Tunbridge Corporation, a merchant bank and financial advisory firm. Johan has deep experience in infrastructure financing and public-private partnerships. Welcome, Johan. And today I'm pleased to announce that we just elected 2 new directors to the board at the members' meeting this morning. Neither of them are present today, but they will certainly be here next year. They were just elected hours ago. Doug Allingham is the former executive vice president at AECOM, the global engineering firm. Doug has a wealth of experience in the design and construction of major infrastructure projects. And the second new director is Peter Gregg, president and CEO of the Independent Electricity System Operator, IESO, which manages Ontario's power system. Peter likewise has deep experience in public infrastructure, in this case from the management and operations side. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize the many valuable contributions of 2 of our departing directors, Brian Herner and Terry Nord, both of who will step down from the board of directors a few hours ago after completing their 9-year maximum terms of contribution. Over the past year, our CEO, Howard Ang, once again demonstrated the outstanding leadership ability that has earned him a global reputation in the airline industry. Since taking on the CEO's role in 2012, Howard has built an exceptional senior management team with an ideal blend of experience, including fresh perspectives from other sectors. As a result, the GTAA today is more nimble, innovative, and forward-looking enterprise than it has ever been. Toronto Pearson's vision is to be the best airport in the world. And every day, the 1,500 employees who work for the GTAA try to make that vision a reality. So on behalf of the board of directors, many of whom are here, I want to express our appreciation to all of you, the employees of the GTAA, to keep this incredibly complex facility running smoothly. And that thank you extends also as well to the 49,000 people who work at the airport every day. Every one of you contributes to our success, as do the organizations that you work for. Namely, our 63 air carriers, Air Canada and WestJet foremost among them, which offer direct service to 185 global destinations. NAV Canada, which is responsible for air traffic control, Canada Border Services Agency, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Canadian Air Transport Security Authority, the Peel Regional Police, and hundreds of other businesses, agencies, and organizations that employ these 49,000 people. We also benefit from strong partnerships with governments at all levels, federal, provincial, and municipal, including the mayors and councils and members of the Brampton, Mississauga, and Toronto governments. To all of these stakeholders and to everyone here today and across our diverse communities, we appreciate your continued engagement and support. Your insights will guide us as we balance the growing demands against high expectations as Toronto Pearson continues its evolution to be one of the world's leading airports. Thank you very much. I'll turn over the podium to our CEO, Howard Eng. Howard?
He's such a great orator. He says such wonderful words. I don't know if I can follow behind what he has done. So thank you, David. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to our annual public meeting on such a lovely sunny day outside. It'll probably be one of our few summer days this year. 2 weeks ago,
I hope not.
2 weeks ago Sunday, we're still de-icing aircraft, believe it or not. So picking up on what David just talked about, yes, we earned our highest ranking ever in the Global Airport Service Quality Survey. The satisfaction score put Toronto Pearson ahead of all other airports, over 40 million in North America, and not only in North America, but also in Europe, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. We're proud to share this recognition with the 49,000 people that work at Toronto Pearson. We're all working together to create and deliver better airport experience. Our job is not done yet, and we'll continue to improve from where we are today. The essence of this airport is to serve its community, the region, and passengers from coast to coast to coast. When I put that down, my assistant deleted the last coast. We all have to remember, while we have the Atlantic and the Pacific, we also have the Atlantic, who depend on us to get them to their final destination around the entire world. In 2017, 3 million more travelers passed through Toronto Pearson. I think David mentioned that. Over the last 5 years, there was over 11 million passenger, additional 11 million passenger and gone through Pearson. That's probably equal to the population of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia combined. Airport can't grow because they just want to. As David said, this growth is driven by the growth of our region and by rising demand across Canada for fast, convenient, and direct access to both North America and the rest of the world. As shown in our master plan, that you can again find on the internet, we expect this airport to grow to over 60 million passengers by 2025. I think David mentioned the economic contribution we make already, but as Richard Florida, him and I was on a panel about 2-3 weeks ago, an urban theorist points out, to really see the impact an airport has, you need to look at the stories behind the numbers. The multinational companies that build and invest in our region because they know they have easy access to the world. The startup in some of the innovation centers scattered across the region depends on global links to find new and potentially new markets and to arrange for both manufacturing and financing. There are tens of thousands of international students attending our colleges and universities. And of course, we must not forget the millions of tourists that visit our region, but not only our region, but the rest of Canada through Pearson Airport. All these factors drive job creation, economic growth, and long-term prosperity for all. But as we connect our region and Canada's trading economy to the world, we also face some operating challenges. At the rate demand is growing, by the next year, as David mentioned, we'll pass the 50 million passenger mark. The growth, though, in aircraft movement is not going up as fast as the passenger. And the reason for that is the airlines themselves are upgauging to larger and newer airplanes. So to meet this growth, we at Toronto Pearson are more focused on maximizing the efficiency of what we have, while also maintaining the highest safety standard and finding ways to exceed passengers' expectation. So what are we doing? I'll give you some example. You get to look forward to in the future. Besides putting in new restaurants, new retail shops, we just finished a baggage system master plan and expect to implement and complete it over the next 5 to 7 years to ensure that bags travel with you to your final destination. Another is that we're modifying, revamping Pier 193. We continue to expand it and modify it so that we can accommodate more passengers going to US. And we expect when it's finished, there'll be 15 parking positions there, of which 5 will be bridged. While physical infrastructure is important, again, it is people that makes everything happen. It's the 49,000 people. Over the past few years, we've started what we call the I Am Toronto Pearson campaign. The campaign theme is really very simple. How can I help? By the end of 2017, we have almost 300 companies and more than 10,000 employees of these companies actively supporting this commitment to give our passengers the best possible experience. I have a little video that we can show you of some of the input from the people that are involved, I hope.
I had a coworker who comes and say, what do I do to get this pin? And I told them, first of all, by being you, everybody can do it.
You got to remember, when we're de-icing these airplanes, it's like your family's on board. We're like the last people they see before they take off. And they're always smiling and waving at us. And when I see the kids, it reminds me of my own kids.
I Am Toronto Pearson, it restarted my mojo. It really and truly gave me a new lease on life. It was revolutionary for me, and just in terms of finding renewed purpose. Yeah. Everything she said, and more.
From a business perspective, it's huge for us. They said to me, why do you want to be part of this? It's more so for the staff. And I was like, no, it's not. It's for everybody who wants to be part of Pearson.
I was told that I was going to be an ambassador. And when I went to the first meeting, and I meet the people that I met, and when they told me what it is all about, I said, thank God, I'm free to help people. Everybody is happy, eating. Hello, how are you? All right, enjoy your flight. Okay.
What makes Toronto Pearson in general different is the diversity.
I Am Toronto Pearson. I think it's the most great thing to have that name on it, because I am not Canadian saying I am Toronto Pearson. It made me, what did I say?
Proud?
Yeah, proud, that would be the word.
Those are the people that make an airport great. As we discussed in the last meeting, when we're operating such a big and complicated place, it is no surprise that our workforce is complicated too. There are many kinds of employers, and there are many kinds of employees working at different skills, different jobs. And they also, we're in an environment that, depending on who regulates them, some of these employers are regulated provincially, some by the federal government. So a year ago, I think last year, as part of the partnership we did with the union, we've started a three-phase study so we can map up where's the common ground that is shared between all the employers and employees. I'd like to report on the progress to date. In 2017, the study team finished phase 1, which is about defining benchmarking and finding opportunities for improvement. GTA, again, would have taken the lead in modifying some of the way we contract out, as we ask for contractors to provide service to the GTA. We're changing the way we write our contracts, especially when it comes to contract renewals and how they may affect wages and job continuity. New contractors to GTA now have to proactively offer jobs to current employees if there is a match, with no reduction in pay for the same kind of work. Employee can ask for regular audits of employment standards, and company must agree to do this every year. And when a company's contract is not being renewed, there's time built in for the new employer to contact the current employees to see if they want to transition to the new companies. We are making progress and will continue to make progress in this area. Phase 2 of the study is underway, and we will continue to do phase 3 after that's finished. One thing that will never change in Toronto Pearson is the importance we give to safety. We collaborate, obviously, with CATSA and RCMP, Peel Regional Police, and other police force to ensure safe and secure environment for our passengers. But we also want to ensure safety for all employees at the airport. Up until 2013, we were only able to get workplace safety data on the direct employees of GTAA. But that's not how we look at Toronto Pearson. We are a workforce of 49,000 people. So after a lot of work with some of our biggest partners, we now have safety measures for more than 33,000 people that works at the airport. Our objective is look at reducing injury rates by 5% a year. We'll continue to do so year after year. David have outlined the effort we've been doing to mitigate the impact we have on our community. I will not repeat some of the initiatives David already mentioned, but over the past few years, we've been working with community members to find better ways of discussing the issues and finding solutions together. One major outcome, as David mentioned, is the 5-year noise management action plan that we just published. I'm happy to say today that at the last meeting of CNAC, a senior leader from Air Canada announced within 2 years, Air Canada will be retrofitting its A320 series aircraft to lower the high-pitched noise that they currently produce. Again, small item, but we'll continue to look at for those ways to improve on how we can mitigate the noise issue. Everything I've talked about today is in the context of the GTA's commitment to financial sustainability. This airport has to invest over $6 billion initially to build the facility it now has, and we will continue to invest to meet the growth that's coming. The Government of Canada doesn't provide any funding to the airport. Rather, we lease the airport from Transport Canada for 60 years, and we, in this last year, and you see in the annual report, we pay over $120 million rent to Transport Canada. The lease also required that at the end of the 60 years, we return the airport to Transport Canada with first-class facilities and debt-free. We as a company have strived to keep costs to the airlines and passenger low. Over the past 6 years, we have not raised our charges to the air carriers or our airport improvement fee. Ian, our CFO, will provide more details of our financial results in a little while. However, before I hand it over to Ian, I'd like to talk a bit about a campaign we have undertaken for the past few years. David has mentioned it earlier. Some of you may have noticed the new ad we recently launched. I think we have a little video showing that new ad.
Just the ads.
Oh, just the ads, that's all you're showing. No video? Oh, gosh.
I'll get to work on the video.
So as you notice, it's also the theme of our latest annual report, which was just launched online, and you can pick a copy up around here on the tables. The message is very simple. The better we move, the greater we become. The better we move people and goods by providing connections to the world, but also by connecting these global routes with regional transportation network, the better we do this, the more jobs we create, the more business opportunity we enable, the more innovation and investment we spark, and the more we build strong economic growth in our communities, both here and across Canada, and right around the world. The better we move, the greater we become. So why are we involved in ground transportation? Well, we run an airport. Our airport is in the business to move people. And an airport is never the final destination of people arriving here. As the number of people that resides in the region continues to grow, the current mode of transportation, which is really very car dependent, will not be able to manage the transportation demand put on the system. That's why we've taken the lead in proposing a regional transit center integrated with Toronto Pearson that will be a hub for high-speed rail, light rail, bus network, all of which to serve our communities next door and the rest of Southern Ontario. Since we announced our plan in February 2017, we've been talking with all the key stakeholders from the rest about the best way to move forward, because everyone agrees it's vital to this region economic future if we can get this right. In fact, as you can see on the annual report, we invited Phil from the new CEO of Metrolinx to talk about his vision for integrated transit in our annual report. The changes that Phil and his team are driving will change transportation around our region, and Toronto Pearson is an important piece of this puzzle. But regarding the transit hub, while it's integrated into Toronto Pearson, the point of the hub is not just to get people to and from the airport. Giving travelers a convenient, sustainable transit alternative will be a great bonus. But the real reason is one I'm sure everyone here understands very well. We need to do something about the traffic jams on our roads and get the whole region moving better. Every day, there are over 1 million vehicle trips that go to and from the airport employment zone. And then you have all the people who commute from the western suburb into downtown Toronto or vice versa. Better transit options will improve their quality of life, make them more productive in their jobs, and open doors of new opportunities for everybody. A good transportation hub at Toronto Pearson is an asset to benefit the whole region. In closing, I would like to say that the progress you see so far is not driven by the 1,600 people working for GTA, but by the entire Toronto Pearson workforce, all 40,000 who work hard every day to ensure that the better we all move, the greater we all become. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our vision is to become the world's best airport. Our 20-year master plan lays out the path forward. In 2017, our operational excellence was recognized as Pearson was named the best large airport in North America. We've also delivered planned results through strong net income growth. Financially, our efforts are concentrated around financial sustainability, cash flow generation, and managing airport investments and aviation growth. We made excellent progress on this in 2017. Management was successful at delivering our plans in 2017. We reported net income of $112 million, representing growth of 31% from the 2016 level of $85 million. Revenues grew by $27 million, largely as a result of passenger growth, which benefits the airport improvement fee and non-aeronautical revenue sources. Operating expenses increased over 2016 due to investments which enhance customer experience and mainly passenger processing. Importantly, interest costs declined by 4% due to continued focus on managing our debt program. This will benefit the organization in years to come. We aim to shift the mix of revenue towards non-aeronautical sources so that we are less reliant on traditional aeronautical revenues. The increase in non-aeronautical rates provides greater degree of flexibility to realize our vision. Our two-till rate setting methodology charges aeronautical rates to recover costs. Looking at revenue, you can see that aeronautical revenues in 2017 have modestly increased compared to 2016. This increase is caused by higher passenger activity. The total amount collected through airport improvement fees and increased due to passenger growth and mix. Most notably, non-aeronautical revenues increased by 9%, which grew faster than our passenger growth of 6.2%. This is due to a combination of enhanced retail offerings, advertising initiatives in the terminals, and expansion of our rental revenue through commercial buildings. Stabilizing rates is one of the best tools we have to increase traffic growth at Pearson. This focus on the bottom line has enabled us to reduce or hold constant the rates we charge to air carriers for the past 10 years. In fact, posted air carrier rates are now about 25% less when compared to the Toronto Pearson rates in 2007. The reduced rates that we initially put in place in 2013 have now been frozen for 6 years. This provides certainty to airline partners and encourages them to develop more routes for passengers at Pearson. We continue to manage operating costs with an eye to the bottom line. As shown on this graph, our operating costs are growing slower than the traffic growth. Costs grew by 20% since 2008, as indicated by the green line, during a period where traffic grew by 45%, as indicated by the blue line. This has been achieved through initiatives like energy-saving programs, working smarter with the resources we have, while simultaneously ensuring that the quality of our services is constantly improving. You will note that there has been a gradual increase in our operating expenses over the past few years as we reinvest our savings into improving airport operations, improved passenger and baggage processing, insourcing of de-icing services, and managing passenger growth within our existing capacity constraints. This financially minded approach has allowed Toronto Pearson to build a sustainable financial foundation. Our debt outstanding has declined from a high in 2011 of $7.3 billion to $6.3 billion. This represents a decline of $1 billion over 6 years. You will note that we are taking active steps to manage the organization's cost of debt as we recently introduced a commercial paper program. In 2017, we also invested $287 million in property acquisitions, which will allow for continued development of the airport and related activities. Interest costs were reduced by $14 million in 2017 from 2016. Reducing our interest expenses provides us flexibility to invest in the airport to enhance service offerings, improve passenger experience, and manage our rates and charges. The commercial paper program was introduced in May 2017. Commercial paper is an alternative financing tool we use to fund the maturity of medium-term notes at lower interest rate cost. Commercial paper also provides the benefit of hedging the negative impact of funding short-term reserve accounts. Importantly, the rating agencies have rewarded the corporation's efforts to reduce debt. We now have a Standard & Poor's rating of A+, and the Moody's rating is AA3. These ratings are supported by the reduction in debt and the lower net debt per passenger, which has declined from $342 in 2014 to $248 in 2017. These strong ratings benefit the organization by lowering our borrowing costs and improve our access to new funding should it be needed. Aviation growth is an important enabler for the rest of our business. With critical mass, we gain the benefits of scale, enabling us to continue to expand our service offerings. Customer service improvements and improved passenger processing both encourage this growth. Timely and efficient capital expenditures must be made to accommodate the growth while we continue to monitor passenger service and processing activities. As you can see, passenger traffic grew 6.2% from 2016 to a record of 47.1 million passengers in 2017. In 2017, 2.8 million more passengers traveled through Pearson. Since 2010, we have added over 16 million passengers. Growth was achieved evenly in all sectors, but is being led by the international activity. This is the result of a number of new routes and new airlines that have been added. 2017 saw continued capital spending to support passenger flow and growth. Some of the 2017 investments were commercial property acquisitions for future development, the airside pavement restoration program, Terminal 1 Pier 193 upgrades to add capacity, Terminal 3 check-in hold room upgrades to assist with passenger processing. These near-term capital priorities are funded through yearly cash flows generated, rather than financed through the issuance of new debt. Prior to making decisions to invest in new large-scale capital infrastructure, management will first optimize the use of existing facilities so that we unlock their full potential. Looking a little deeper into non-aeronautical revenue, this chart shows the success we have been having with non-aeronautical revenue growth. In 2017, we experienced solid revenue growth in ground transportation and parking, shown in red at 5.1%, as well as concession retail space, shown in light blue at 7.8%. This concession revenue growth was the result of introducing new retail and new food locations and enhancing the service offerings. Rentals has grown by 18.3%, in part from investments in commercial properties. Most of the other revenue represents new de-icing services. This slide shows the new duty-free luxury brand offerings at the airport, as well as the next slide showing some of the new food and beverage offerings. These examples demonstrate that the efforts and investments we put into our retail strategy are delivering significant results. Non-aeronautical revenue represented 33% of our revenues in 2017, compared to 24% in 2010. This means we are becoming more competitive as we reduce our dependency on aeronautical sources. To close, we continue the trend of growing net income from operations and demonstrating financial responsibility and prudence. Continued growth in traffic and revenue has provided the resources to invest in improved facilities and the passenger experience. We are well on our way to becoming a world-class global hub. Thank you.
Right, everyone, that concludes the formal portion of the meeting. We are going to move to Q&A now, and Jim Fott, as I said at the outset, from Laura Consulting is going to facilitate these discussions. Going to pass it over to Jim. We would ask there's microphones in the room for the benefit of those who will be watching online. If you could hold your question until a microphone arrives, say your name, perhaps the community or the organization you're affiliated with, and then we'll get down to business. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Hillary. And once again, my name is Jim Fott from Laura Consulting. I'm your third-party neutral facilitator today. My goal is to make sure we can get to as many questions or comments as possible. So in order to do that, I'd ask you to restrict your comments or questions to a couple of minutes so that we can get to everybody that we want to have a comment to the GTAA. One conversation at a time, please, and the person with the microphone has the floor. So I see a question here. Let's go to that person first. So wait for the microphone, please, and please introduce yourself.
Hi. Based on the fact that when I came in, one of the gentlemen here, he needed to connect to the internet, and at the registration table, there were 3 GTA representatives who assured me there was no internet connectivity here for us, for the guests, even though this was a planned event. Based on that fact, how would you explain that regarding making GTA a big transport hub, that mistakes like these will not be exponentially made, and which basically brings me to contract flipping, which is the reincarnation of the airport worker from a human when they start working at the airport to a lower animal after a contract flip, which kind of points out towards indentured servitude as defined in the Employer-Employee Act 1990, which was basically in guise, which used to be the Master and Servant Act. When will this feudal system stop and stop? It still exists because of the masks it bears. We talk about making the airport a better place, revenues, changes, growth. What about the growth in the satisfaction of the airport workers who only got a raise last year because of the increase in minimum wage? And the GTA had nothing to do with it. It was a rallying of the people for a better wage, which still isn't good. Making $14 an hour after working here like 12 years for me. I mean, how do you justify that? Is my job less important than someone else who's doing the same job and getting more wages? That's my question, sir. Like, how would you foresee? What do you plan to do to better the conditions of the airport workers at Pearson, which is the biggest airport in Canada in many ways? And until we are the backbone of this airport, how do you foresee that passenger safety and passenger satisfaction will continue to grow?
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question. Let her respond.
Maybe I'll kick off the answer and then invite Howard to jump in. I think, as you saw in Howard's presentation, it's important to us to recognize the role of all workers at the airport, all 49,000, not just the 1,300 or so that work at the GTAA, in delivering on that best passenger experience and the vision to become the best airport in the world. And I think you're right. I think there's been numerous voices within the airport community over the last several years at least that have asked us to look at working conditions and worker issues within the airport, which brought us to come together with representatives from various unions across the airport and really dig into what some of the primary issues are within the workplace, recognizing that there are GTA-specific contracts and the other 300+ employers at the airport also have agreements with their workers. And we sat down and undertook a number of pieces of work. The first was a study of how workplaces and complex work environments like airports in different jurisdictions around the world are operated, what we could learn. The second phase, as Howard alluded to in his presentation, there's 2 more phases. Those 2 phases deal with demographic studies, so understanding who the workers are at Pearson, some of the issues they deal with in terms of their contracts, their service agreements, because without the facts, we can't, and the evidence, we can't help to create progress on those fronts. And the third phase will be to look at some of the future employment opportunities, the issues with which employers are going to need which types of workers, and how we can prepare in advance for the changing workplaces, workers' age, specifically at the airport. And as Howard alluded to in his speech, the first step was for us to look at that report, understand what the issues are, and to address the language in our own contracts. And so I think we've made progress there. We've had at least 3 or 4 contracts go out, RFPs go out with this new language, and we're quite pleased that it provides for enough time for the new contractor to interview the workers, no reduction in wages for substantially the same work, a right to audit and inspect the workplace, the employment standards, and a certification of compliance from those employers. So we think this is good first step. It's still early days in that process, but we're going to keep at that table and keep working with the union representatives and show leadership. And the 300 other plus employers at the airport will hopefully look to us and see what we're doing and do the same.
Other questions? There's one here. Let's come up to this person. Just wait for the microphone and introduce yourself, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Vahid Sadati, and I'm just an ordinary citizen. And I come here today to present a project to the GTA. I believe put GTA in the map as a welcoming airport in the world. I create a sign welcome in 103 different languages. 650 volunteers sat down 2 years, put 5 million stitches to create this welcoming sign. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to present to GTA to be shown in one of the terminals. So passengers, when they're coming here, not only see the well-oiled machine that it is also welcoming and pleasant in recognizing their language and welcoming them. So I came here, hopefully I was able to, couple of minutes of Mrs. Marshall, and hopefully be able to contact her and get this project really going, and having that sign, which I have a picture brought with me, to show and have it in the airport. And thank you very much, and all the help you can give me. Thanks.
Well, it's a wonderful mural, and I can't believe the number of hours you put into it, and it really does represent who we are as a country. And so
that was my goal, to show. When I came to Canada as a young man, I was such overwhelmed that I was welcome. So I wanted to give back and show the rest of the world. So I came with the idea, and everybody was laughing, saying that it's not possible. And I believe that when you have a goal and people believing in it, they came in rows, and from 4 years to 84 years, volunteers sat down. For 2 years, my house was basically a shop. They would come in and go and help me to create, and I have all the articles and pictures that I can bring and show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Other questions? So there's one over there to the far. Let's go to the far side of the room so that we can get to everybody here. So please introduce yourself.
My name is Al Kaminskas. I live south of the airport. My question relates to safety. Thank you very much for the excellent business model of the GTA. Transport Canada is the regulator for aviation, but in the last year, August 2017, Alan Ogwani published the book, The Next Plane Crash. I'm sure you've all read that. And in the last 3 months, the Globe and Mail has issued a number of articles why flying isn't as safe as we're told. Now that Transport Canada is no longer a regulator, they're nothing more than an investigator of incidents. Transport Canada has downloaded all the safety regulations to the GTA. So I'm surprised on page 85 that I don't see a mandate regulating the enforcement of Transport Canada's regulations.
I'd be happy to help too.
Is it open? Sorry, Transport Canada is still the regulator. They still regulates. They still inspect. They inspect us. They have actually inspectors sitting at the airport, and they in turn issue us an operating license. So indeed, Transport Canada is still doing all that.
Next question, I think I saw a hand up here somewhere, right here. So let's go to this gentleman with the mic, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm working at the airport. I have a little bit concern about the public safety. There is, for general public, when they're coming up to pick up their friends and family members, the GTA develop a cell phone lot. It is not easily accessible when we coming from 427 North. So what happening in that situation? People, they parking their cars on the Garba 427. When somebody call, they try to move in. I observe 2 accidents. So I think you have the plan of billions of $1 billion. So to make a easy access to cell phone lot from both directions, public coming from 409 or 427, it will create a better safety environment for the public and for everyone. Second one is mine. When you exiting from Terminal 3 to 427 South, let's say I am exiting Terminal 3 and I am going downtown. On 427, I have to cross 5 different lanes in a busy time to go to left lane so that I can go that way. So my advice is, like, beyond those developments, if you look into these 2 things, so more accessible place for the public to park their car like a cell phone lot, and if you can talk to Ontario government or regional government, because I know 427 is not our jurisdiction, if we can make a tunnel or something, easy access for the public from Terminal 3 especially to 427 South, I feel it will create more safety. My name is Karan Punian. I serve as a PBAC member in City of Mississauga for 10 years. Hazel was my team member, we work together. So this is my suggestion for the public safety. If you pay attention, it will be better for the public. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion. I see my Vice President of Infrastructure is busy writing it down. Your suggestion, I'm sure I'll get a report to him on the feasibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those suggestions. Question over here. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Peter Rebick from Pickering. I'm a resident there. My question concerns the Pearson's ultimate capacity and when an overflow airport will be required to support it. In 2007, you projected capacity to be around this year, last year, 2017 to 2023. In 2010, you revised the capacity to 2028 to 2037, and your current numbers do not confirm capacity limit for Pearson within the next 20 years as stated. So would you, in principle, that the current projections indicate that there will be no need to build another airport, such as what's proposed for Pickering, before the year 2050 or beyond? Thank you.
So, as you can see, forecasts are based on various assumptions. You're right, there was different forecasts about the potential capacity limits of this airport. What have been changed in the recent past is that the airline, as you notice, as I said in my speech, has been upgauging using large aircraft, both for demand and consolidating into large aircraft with newer technologies. So based on those and talking to airlines and talking to industry experts, we feel that the runway capacity of Pearson Airport can handle up to 85 million passengers. However, if you also look at some of our studies, it shows that the demand for this region over the next 30, 35 years is over 100 million passengers. As a result of that, there is, and we have started the discussion with the 10 airports that's in the region, we call it the SOM group, to try to coordinate with each other as to see what happened as we start reaching capacity at Pearson Airport. Pickering Airport is owned by Transport Canada. They sit in those meetings, but whether or not an airport will be built there is still up to Transport Canada since they own the property.
Thank you. Other questions? No other questions or comments? There's one here. Let's bring the microphone up, please. And there's one gentleman in the yellow. And I think that'll be our last two questions, it looks like.
I do not have a question.
Comments, fine.
I just want to make a comment.
That's fine.
Joseph Grajek, Mississauga, and I'm representing professional engineers, Mississauga chapter. And also, the message I have I just want to share. I came in 1993 to Canada. 1995, I got to work with public works and government services at Pearson Airport and on the first runway on the west side. And then the next one, and more than 25 projects I've been involved there. And the airport changed, dramatically changed in plus. You got a investment and you got a proper use of the land and site, and you've got the proper, or I can say the highest level of public safety. The design of the infrastructure, like runways, I designed the runway, one of them, and working on construction, and I designed part of the de-icing, central de-icing facilities, taxiway Juliet, and the other taxiways around underground stuff, and all these important things. And I want to say that this, compared to the other part of the world, it is one of the best airports around the world. And what has impressed me today, that is still growing, and the focus is still on public safety, and the focus is on the integration with community, because that you're going close to what the master plan said, 60 million passengers per year in that airport. And if you get to that and higher as a hub, everybody wants to see that, but you have to integrate airside, terminal, and groundside, and the region. So that's it. I just want to say thank you. I'm very proud of that.
That's wonderful.
Thank you both for that comment and for your work on the airports. That's a professional engineer like you. It's nice to have a comment like that. So last question or comment back to here. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Ivan Batty. I come from Whitby, Ontario. I am expressing a concern with a statement made by the GTAA at the annual public meeting in May 2016, wherein your representative said, there is no requirement to provide the annual report prior to the annual public meeting. Those remarks were reiterated in a letter to me shortly thereafter. Those remarks are not in compliance with the ground lease legal agreement. A series of letters ensued with the Minister of Transport. Eventually, in March 2018, the GTA agreed to my request as a member of the public to provide the annual report 3 weeks prior to the annual public meeting in accordance with the Ground Lease Legal Agreement and the Canada Not-for-Profit Corporations Act. As a member of the public, that document was provided to me not 21 days, but 36 hours prior to the meeting. I conclude that the GTA is not operating within its legal agreements and is making false representations to the public. I believe that issues of code of conduct continue to plague your corporation, and that all self-correcting internal processes that you currently have in place would seem to repeatedly fail. On this issue, will you undertake to make amends to the public in a suitable and acceptable manner by way of a written statement of apology accompanied by an affirmative statement on how you would address like issues with more vigor in the future.
We will and always strive to comply with the lease. I will take your views back and look at it, and if we are not in compliance, we'll correct whatever is not in compliance.
Great. Oh, there's one more question here. You have a question? Just introduce yourself, please.
My name is Avril Gray White, and I work for North York Harvest Food Bank, which, surprisingly to most, operates a leadership and logistics employment and career development program. I was looking through your annual report, and I applaud your focus on immigrants who are here over 3 years. There's always a focus on newcomers, so it's great to see a focus on longer-term immigrants. It's on page 21. I just read it. So I would like to know when you would have your NEST propeller project up in, I know they were focusing on revamping it, but when it would be up so that nonprofits like mine could put in proposals for helping these same newcomer or long-term immigrants in finding employment. Thank you very much.
I'll let Hillary answer.
Well, great question, and I guess I'm really happy to tell you that you can apply today. We've had that funding in place for the last year and a half. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, and Robin, who is the director of that program, would be happy to answer your question or maybe talk to you and explain in more detail after the meeting about how exactly you can connect with the Propeller Project. We're very happy to meet you.
Seeing no other questions or comments, I'll turn it over to Hillary to wrap up the meeting.
Well, thanks very much for coming out today, everyone. We look forward to seeing you at future meetings. Of course, we're in the community throughout the summer at various community events, rib fests, you name it, as well as hosting various town halls and CNAC meetings, and we always welcome your questions and comments. Have a great day. Good to see you. Yeah, excellent. We'll see you at something, CNAC.